Good evening. Welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome.
We have a great show for you tonight. We are talking about worrying for success, and we put the research, we research the science behind success. We do the research too, but yes, and so
this is going to be a continuation of our Genius Pattern Week, where we share some mental hacking, really tricks to unleash your full potential and kind of, eliminate these roadblocks that are keeping you from getting to where you want to be in life.
Yes, absolutely.
First, we have to find out if we're live.
We are live.
Yay.
And so if this is your first time joining us, my name is Carl Knock.
And my name is Nicole Knock.
And we are with Around the Leaf Consulting. And before we can go any further, we must talk about our Friday show. It's going to be a great one. We bring in a three-time author. Well, he's about to drop his third book in March, but three-time Tampa native author Josh McMorrow Hernandez, and he's going to be bringing us and teaching us or telling us how he was able to use just his interest in writing a blog into 3 books as well as many more successes, and we can't wait for that.
Yes, this is for those who maybe want to be an author and have a 9-to-5 or have a different position they're in right now but could see themselves as an author. And he's going to talk about the transition from that 9-to-5 and kind of give tips and tricks and basically just inspiration for when you do the same thing.
Yes, absolutely. So let's get right into it. Worrying for success. It seems a little counterintuitive, but of course that's why we're saying it. It comes from the Psycho-Cybernetics book that we've been kind of trending on here. So the concept started out when it was talking about the ringing of a phone in the book, where, now this is a dated book, so most phones ringing aren't on the wall. What's going on, Russell? Welcome to the show.
How's it going?
So he was in the book, he was talking about the concept of when you're sitting down, you're not planning on anything going on, and then the phone on the wall, again, this is an older book, phone rings on the phone rings, or you can even talk about it, you get a notification on your phone, or somebody calls you on your phone, you're not expecting it, and it kind of disrupts that sense of zen or just relaxation.
Sure.
And so
it's kind of like the Pavlov's dog, that stimulus kind of makes you have a knee-jerk reaction, like you need to react to it right away and pick it up.
Yeah, kind of like when the sound your phone makes when you get a notification. If you have that set up, there's a way to do that. Set up your phone so you get notifications on Facebook. It does it by default. So if you first set it up, and you get that notification, you get that buzz in your pocket, you're like, oh man, what is that? What's going on? I must know.
It's got to be important.
It must be important. And so some say that it is the same reaction that you have when there's an emergency that happens. The similar kind of stimuli happens, and so it's very interesting that this concept of worrying. So I'm sure we are all guilty of worrying about something at one point or another. I know I am, or I have. And so this concept of worrying for success, it kind of baffled my mind at first. And so by using the power, because when we worry, one thing happens is that we think of the worst thing that could happen. Man, I am worried that when I go in to ask for a promotion from my boss, they're going to fire me. And then on the drive home, I'm going to get in an accident, and I'm not going to be able to know how to tell my spouse and my family that I lost my job, the car's broken, and we can't go to Disney World this year, and just throwing that one in there. But so all these different things, right? And it kind of exasperates the situation.
Sure, it builds up on one on top of the other.
It just builds up one on top of another.
So basically with worrying, I like the quote that I found a while ago that made me completely change my perspective on worrying. It says, worrying is like praying for something that you don't want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, in prayer or in, what do you call it?
Meditation,
or
Sure,
it's the law of attraction, right?
Oh, cool, yeah.
You're supposed to visualize things that are going to happen because then the universe gives it to you. There are a lot of different aspects to this. There are a lot of ways to see it, but this kind of concept of thinking about it, dreaming about it, imagining it, putting your imagination to work to actually see, visualize, feel, hear, see, smell, touch, everything. This future that you don't have yet, the goals that you are aspiring to get to, those things will come to be.
Yes.
If you focus on them and if you do practice this law of attraction. Well, with worrying, you're doing the exact opposite. You're focusing and thinking about, in great detail, mind you, putting these things in your mind that you don't want to happen. So when you worry about things, whether it be a new venture failing or a new, or like you said, asking for a raise and your boss firing you, or a negative outcome in any type and source, any way, shape, or size possible. Because, you could even put this into medical worries or worries about parenting or, any of these things that you could worry about, and they could become so big that they make you do the opposite of what you need to do to succeed.
Absolutely.
Now, let that sink in. When you worry about something so much that you either freeze and you don't know what to do because now this problem seems insurmountable to you. Hey, Nathan.
Hey, Nathan, welcome.
Welcome. This problem ends up seeming insurmountable to you when you worry so much that you start to do the wrong things. You start to not know how to get to that success. You start to think about all the things that can go wrong, so much so that you actually self-destine. What's the word for it? Word.
Oh, man.
Maestro, word. Basically, it's a, I'm going to think of it. It's a sociological word, but I'll think of it. Either way. You create this destiny, even though you don't want it, because you are creating and manifesting this in your mind. You are going to end up creating it in real life.
Yep.
Because you're going to do the wrong things. Because you're so frozen by worry.
Yeah, much what we said with, kind of positive affirmations. Mm-hmm. When you have these negative affirmations of worrying, that's exactly what you're doing. You're kind of speaking the worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. Now, to defeat worrying is not to focus on defeating worrying. Hey, Jasmine, welcome.
Hey, Jasmine. Welcome.
Because where your focus is, that's where your emotion's going to go, and then your emotion is going to control your actions. So if you're trying to defeat worry, the answer is not to focus on not worrying, because that just doesn't work.
Correct.
The
manifest destiny. Yes, that is one term. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. There is another one, but yes, that is definitely one of them. Thank you, Nathan.
Yes. So
he's not my maestro.
Maestro.
Nathan's my maestro. Okay, go ahead.
So worrying, what you want to do is a lot of time there's different tricks that people use.
Sure.
One of which is to imagine themselves on vacation. And I would love, thank you for sharing this,
Yes, thank
Jasmine.
you, Jasmine. We appreciate it, definitely. Google helped.
Nice.
Google is my maestro.
There we go. Okay, Google, right?
Yeah.
So,
What is she talking about?
so when you to overcome worry, a lot of successful people, what they will do is they will have a place that they go to kind of unwind or kind of unplug. For one CEO, it was going to the county zoo. They would get into their car, drive over to the county zoo, get in and walk around and look at the animals. And that was their way to kind of detach themselves from what was actually going on at the office. Mm-hmm. That would take about 10 to 30 minutes. They would then come back, right? And so there's all these different kind of things that happen. But again, it's how we handle things when we are worrying like that. When something happens, a crisis, which just means, from the Greek, I believe, to make a decision, time to make a decision, crisis. When it's time to make that decision,
Google that.
and we look, at that worst case scenario, that's our conditioning. We've conditioned ourselves, or we've been conditioned to worry about those different things. Much like Pavlov's dog, it made sense to worry, for the dog to salivate when there was the meat there, mm-hmm. when the bell rang. But then all of a sudden, once that meat was removed and the bell was still ringing, it made no sense for that dog to salivate, yet it did. Sure. The same goes with worrying, or when things happen or things are coming up and we worry about the outcome, that's our conditioned response.
Absolutely. And yes, Nathan, it is absolutely like a shift in thought patterns. That's kind of what this whole week is about. It's how to shift your thought patterns to make them beneficial instead of hurtful to yourself. Right. Much like what you said with those reactions, or those kind of instilled by society or interactions or anything like that. Those kind of things, those kind of automatic responses to things like threats or dangers or anything like that, that's all very primal. It's a primal need for us for survival. So when something like that happens, when, say, we fail in life, then the next failure that comes up, or the next time you could possibly fail, that primal instinct to not do anything and freeze instead of actually act upon, what you need to get done, or act upon that stimulus. Mm-hmm. That's all very. It's going to be somewhat innate at that point. So you really have to practice, and you really have to kind of go through repetition of these exercises, so that you can change that thought pattern. Ah.
Yes.
I got through that one. That was hard.
We got there. What's going on, Ali? Welcome to the show.
Ali. Welcome.
And cognitive behavioral therapy, similar like that. Yes, Nathan. And it, with anything, just like conditioning, any kind of conditioning takes practice, whether it's good or bad. So worrying, the more you worry, the more you are practicing that negative behavior. But it is all about that emotion and that buildup, It's kind of like fear is mm-hmm. part of that worrying. And so what happens when a NFL quarterback comes onto the field is there's a lot of different things that can happen, right? Mm-hmm. On the field. Worst case scenario, they get injured, taken off the field, can't play ever again. Okay? Now, chances are they're not worrying about that. They've got some huge people in front of them that are preventing that, as well as gear and all sorts of different other safety precautions. But yet there could be that chance, right?
Sure.
There have been.
It's a very real chance, yeah.
Right. So a lot of times what will happen, coaches, when you know the second string quarterback comes on the field, it's been, you know, however many minutes of play, oftentimes they will try a easy play to kind of warm them up, you know, to get
Small success.
to get those small successes. Thank you. Yes.
I did not know that. I love that.
Now it may not always happen, because obviously from a defensive coordinator's position, right? You see that relief quarterback come on, you're like, yes, we've got it.
He says obviously, and I have no clue what he says.
Sure. But oftentimes, what about for clutch players? Hey, Kelly, welcome. What about clutch players? It is the bottom of the ninth,
Kelly.
and they bring in this pitcher to close it out. Now, this isn't the time for warm-ups. This isn't the time for easy pitches. This isn't time for anything like that. This is the time that you want all of that to be gone, and for this next pitcher to walk up to the mound and throw that strike that person out, right? That's not the time for them to walk everyone and then get the strikes. No. Nobody wants that, right? From a manager's perspective, you know, in the bullpen, nobody wants that. So what if there was a way to skip all this? You know, obviously it would be great if we could all just go to the zoo whenever we want, and right, to unwind, but that's not necessarily feasible. Whether pocketbook or your boss or whatever, just life in general, you can't just always run away. So that's why those who have who are successful, they create this in their mind. There was a TV personality. They went through this routine before they would go out in front of the audience, where they would close their eyes literally 60 seconds before they had to walk out. They would close their eyes, snap their fingers, focus, then snap their fingers again, and then say, "Ha, let's go do this," and walk out of the curtain. And when questioned on what they did, they said before it took that person about 30 minutes to do the same thing. What they did, he would close his eyes, he would clear his mind of all the things that were kind of stressing him out, or anything that happened in the day or anything like that, and just kind of come, you know, and then he would imagine that the audience was laughing at what he was saying. And the not necessarily what he was going to say, just that they were enjoying what he was saying, that they were laughing, that it was a great thing, everybody was smiling, good, and then he walked out. And by practicing that over and over, he had been able to get it down to 60 seconds. The first snap was him clearing his mind. The second one was him imagining that, and then he was ready to go.
Well, I mean, of course, a caveat to that. Think about like stand-up comedians when they go up there and their audience. If the audience isn't in the right frame of mind, you can tell pretty much when it first starts.
Oh yeah, that energy. Whether
it's going to be a bomb show or whether you're going to, you know, have the greatest time of your life, because it's all about that energy. It's all about that. But to your point with the mini vacation, so that's to center yourself. That's to kind of reel back your emotional response, your automatic emotional response to things that are making you worry. So that's one tactic to do. And the way to do that is to just kind of give yourself like 30 seconds to a minute. It doesn't take forever. It doesn't take that long. And think of a kind of a situation or a vacation that you'd want to take. Something that, you know, makes you calm and centered. And whenever something like that happens, and like I said, this requires practice, because these kind of, and Nathan actually hit the nail on the head when he said he had a neuropsychologist explain it to him that if you worry regularly, it strengthens the neural pathways.
Right.
So them functioning better makes them a more common and automatic reaction. But if you practice other thought patterns, it will strengthen those. That's the negative mind loop. That's the kind of thing that we talk about when it is a biological, physiological thing that happens to your brain. But you can change it. You can reprogram it much like a computer, and that's what we're talking about this week. So just like what Nathan is talking about, there are ways to change that. If you are, one of the things that psychocybernetics talks about is that if you are worrying about something, then you can train yourself to fix or to transform that worry into a solution, and ultimately untrain yourself to worry. So you train yourself that whenever you are starting to worry or starting to doubt yourself or starting to just think about the bad things that can happen or that it's going to happen no matter what, you know, those kind of things, those kind of automatic responses, like, no, I'm not going to go into business because I'll just fail. You know, or the response that I like to hear whenever we're talking about small businesses. Well, you know that 70% of businesses fail. They fail because they choose to fail.
Yep.
If you have a small business and you have an idea and it's strong enough that you are convicted to try to start it, then the only reason that small business will fail is because you choose to let it fail.
Yep.
I don't care what anyone says. If it may not make $1 million, it may make $1 million. But the difference between a small business that fails and a small business that makes $1 million, besides the idea, because, I mean, it won't fail, but it might not make $1 million if it's kind of a silly idea. But the difference is work. That's the difference. And not saying, listen to me, like whenever you have a small business and someone, and things aren't going right? And you have already this preconceived notion that 70% of businesses fail anyways, then you just chalk it up to a statistic instead of looking at it and saying, okay, this is not working. What can I do to make it better?
Yeah.
Same thing with relationships. It goes I'm telling you, this idea, it goes with every part of your life. Every single category of your life. Like a relationship. You've had failed relationships in the past. Why even try? Because it's just going to end up in heartbreak again. And that is your automatic response to preserve yourself. So like I said, it's a deep primal need to preserve yourself from these things that hurt you, or from these things that scare you, or might do you harm your security. Security is a big thing. And that, you know, going out on a limb, starting a business, putting everything into it, that is a threat to your security, right? Everybody knows how it is to not have a job, you know, so you know, in your subconscious, you know that you don't want that insecurity. So your brain is going to try to fight as much as possible to keep you in a safe, still environment where nothing harms you and nothing is going to threaten your livelihood, right? So you have to reprogram this worrying and use this worrying as fuel to think about the best thing that could happen. Now, this isn't going to happen right away. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to have an automatic response to think, hey, I can turn around and automatically think of something that's going to, you know, be so much better. But I'm telling you, after repetition, you are going to be, oh, thanks, Uncle Richard.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
And 3 others, we don't see who's shared, but thank you either way.
Kelly did, thank you. And Jasmine did, thank you very much.
Oh, awesome. They give us limited stuff. Appreciate it. But where was I?
Worrying, transferring.
Yes, I was almost to a point. But, okay, so where was I?
I'm not sure. I could jump in while you find it.
Yeah, I guess. Go ahead.
Sorry.
It's hot in here.
It is.
Oof.
So what it kind of is that when you have, there is just as much chance for the best thing to happen as there is for the worst thing
I got
that
it.
could happen.
I figured it out.
Awesome.
Okay, so
and she's back.
there is a way with repetition to train yourself that whenever you start thinking of something that bad that's going to happen, or whenever you think of, the worst scenario, that your mind then recognizes it and jumps to the best scenario. So whenever you start thinking of the worst scenario, use that as a starting point to think about the best thing that could happen. Like I said, it's going to take practice.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're a constant worrier. If you're a constant worrier and you notice that, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. Oh my gosh, this is going to happen. Use that oh my gosh moment and program yourself or condition yourself to use that to think of the best thing.
What's going on,
That's going to happen.
Palacios? Sorry.
Hello. Once you get that down, once you get that automatic response that whenever you worry about a bad thing or you worry about the worst scenario or it just won't, get out of your head that worst scenario is what's going to happen. Once that feeling of worry and concern, hello.
Hey, Uncle Richard.
Once that feeling triggers you to then go the complete opposite way and think about the best thing, the best scenario, the most profitable, the most beneficial thing that could happen to you in that scenario, then you essentially retrain your brain to see worrying as a positive and as a tool for success.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. What up? But once you get in that loop, that positive mind loop, instead of the negative mind loop of worrying and basically freezing from the worry, so many things will open up for you and you'll be able to recognize or realize your full potential and get the success that you want in life.
Yes. And now, when you worry about things, okay, it's your body telling you that something's uncomfortable. But with anything going towards success, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. So that's why what she's saying, where you recognize that worry or that fear as almost like a signal like, hey, we should go that way. We should do this thing because again, the same chance of it going bad, the worst thing, the worst case scenario, the best case scenario could happen. So that's where you take that energy of worrying and you flip it around. Now, if you get, and that's your exercise, is to
Figured it out.
try this.
Self-fulfilled prophecy.
Self-fulfilled prophecy from before. I'll put it in there when we're rewatching it. Self-fulfilled prophecy. Okay, so that's your exercise. That's your take-home, is to practice this. When things start to worry you, know that it's your body telling you, hey, this is something that you need to focus on, but use that worry to think of the best possible thing that could happen. Now, if you're not that quick to habits like me, all right, what you can do, there's a half step that you can do, okay? And that is to delay the worrying. As saying that, okay, I'm going to worry about this but not right away. I'm going to give myself 5 minutes in my mental vacation. And you picture yourself sitting at the beach.
Where's your vacation?
I'm not sure right now, but sitting at the
Changes?
beach, you're in that lounge chair. There's the sound of the waves and all this, there's things, or maybe picture yours, whatever your vacation spot is, and then after that 5 minutes, then you can worry. But that is that's your half step, and then get to the place where you can recognize while on vacation in your mind that, hey, what's the best thing that could happen from this? This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. Back to the promotion. You get this idea, man, I really do a lot here. I should ask for a promotion. You know what that means? That's your body, that's your mind telling you that you should do that, like right then and there. I challenge you. I challenge you to do it. Throw everybody off. Even yourself. Even your mind, before it has a chance to worry yourself and think yourself out of doing it. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, you're going to change your life. You're going to change it because you're going to be able to hack into the power that, because again, when you worry, you don't think of reality. It's not like you put it into this thing. Well, that really couldn't happen. No. Your imagination just goes crazy of what could happen. Negative. So use that to the positive and go crazy. What's the best thing that can happen? Oh my goodness. Not only am I promoted, but they asked me to be the CEO of the company. Do it. Right? And I'm telling you, you'll be surprised at both yourself as well as how other people react.
Yes, and at that point, what we were talking about earlier with the people who went on stage, who took the mental vacation, the confidence that you get, that you exude in this situation, especially when you're walking in and asking for something that maybe you do deserve, maybe you don't deserve. It's up in the air, and it's up to you to actually prove that you deserve this. The confidence that you get when you imagine it already happening. You're no longer asking for the sale. You're assuming the sale.
Yep.
And when you have that kind of confidence and that kind of drive and that kind of presence, you are way more likely to say the right things because your testosterone level is going to be higher. Mm-hmm. You are going to be clearer because of the same reason. And you are most likely going to land that job or that promotion.
Yep.
There have been studies and studies and studies doing the same kind of research on just that. The confidence, the testosterone, just having the right mindset and exuding that the right energy is going to land you the job. Mm-hmm. The right tone of voice.
Yes.
There's a lot about tone, especially with confidence. So that is a really good hack.
Yes. And that is what this show is about, is that hack of using that mindfulness to turn that worry on its head.
Yes.
So yes. We will be, again, please join us tomorrow. We have a great show for you. Again, we are continuing in this genius pattern theme, and it will be our last genius pattern show this week. And then Friday, like we said at the beginning, excited. I'm really excited.
Yes.
I'm
excited too. I mean, this is kind of an opportunity, like I said a little earlier, just to kind of inspire people who maybe have wanted to be an author or wanted to write a book. You don't have to be an author necessarily to write a book. You write a book and then become an author, right?
That's right.
So whatever you're good at, whatever you're passionate about, can be marketable in book form. Yep. And that's how a lot of thought leaders and a lot of people gain that kind of prominence in their field, is when they write that book. That's like the starting point of all that. But yes, so we're going to have an author who went from, thanks, Russell.
Yeah.
You're awesome. Thank you for joining us. So we're going to have an author here to get you guys fired up to realize that you too can write a book. And he went from a transition from his 9 to 5 to full-time author and editor.
Yeah.
I believe. Yes. So he will be talking about that, and he will be talking about how to get that in your life, basically.
So yes. With that, again.
And we're still looking for a name.
Yes, we've gotten some great
Recommendations.
Great recommendations. Again, this show is about finding the research or researching the science behind success. We bring that to you every night, Monday through Friday, and we will see you here tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night.
Good night.